The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 333 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for 2008's Quarantine is Cory Johnson.
Heyo.
Man, episode 333, halfway to 666. This is like the Diet Coke of evil episode, because it's only 1 calorie, not evil enough. That's a very fucking deep joke, Austin Powers. You're the Diet Coke of evil. You're quasi-evil. That's my dumb segue into the start of this episode. Originally, we had planned, like I said last episode, we were going to do The Happening. And I didn't bother checking the fucking genres because it's horror, and then I'm doing the write-up sheet. I'm like, it's not labeled horror on IMDb, and that's like the only qualification to review a movie. And I was like, what do we do?
Yeah, even IMDb is like tentatively this is a psychological thriller, but only because that's what M. Night says it is.
Right, yeah. So I was like, all right, I mean, we'll have to switch it. And this was my original pick, so we just did this. But I'm excited to talk about this one because I saw this one in fucking theaters. I remember seeing this like opening night or opening weekend or some shit like that for like a packed fucking crowd. This is my history with this movie. And then towards the end of the movie, when Jennifer Carpenter's in the attic and it's all night vision, people started laughing because of how she was reacting. And I was like, well, first of all, you be in that situation, I'd be acting just like her. And secondly, I told them to shut the fuck up. I was like, this isn't funny. I was like, shut up. And they got all mad, which is really funny. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Spencer and I saw this. It was a big group. It was like me, Spencer, Jordan, John, all my Regal buddies, because that's when I was working at the theaters. And this movie was it hit in theaters so fucking hard. And that's probably why I have it rated the way I did. There is some nostalgia there. I did see it very quickly after it came out. And I revisit it all the time. And of course, when I saw it originally, I had no fucking clue it was a remake of Wreck from the year before. Wasn't until much later in life that I realized that, probably like 10, 12 years after the fact. So going back to watch that one, and then, there's 3 subsequent sequels of Wreck. I've got a couple hot takes on this franchise. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. It is essentially a it's like, not shot for shot, but there's a lot of similar shots, of course, but Quarantine does do something a little different with the virus at the end, and they also add in, there's 10 more minutes of Quarantine, so they add in a little extra, some little things here and there, which I really enjoy, but that's my history. What about you? Which one did you see first? Did you see Quarantine and then Wreck?
I'm pretty sure I've been thinking about this for the past couple days, trying to get my timeline in order. So I am almost positive that I saw Wreck first.
Okay.
So way back in the day, when we had moved from North Carolina to Florida, like it's still in high school type of back in the day.
Yeah.
My late grandmother was a Rotary Club leader, and she would have her Rotary Club meetings or women's club meetings or any of the number of societies that this woman was a part of. She would have the meetings at her house, and my family was staying with her.
Okay.
So once or twice a month, we would, or at least my dad and I would be shooed off to my uncle's house and At the time, my uncle had a subscription. It was not Netflix. I can tell you this for certainty.
Okay.
What the company was, I have no idea. But
Perfect.
he had a subscription service. Like, basically, he would go on the website and he would like select a bunch of movies that he liked, and then the service would send him a random DVD based on his likes, and he would watch it and send it back. So it was like DVD mystery box, sort of.
Yeah, it's like but it's like you don't have to commit to buying it. It's you just watch it and send it back.
Yeah.
Why doesn't that still exist? That sounds amazing.
I have no idea. We watched. That's how I saw Chronicle, actually.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I definitely remember seeing both of the movies through that situation.
Interesting.
And I remember being like, oh, I mean, this is cool. I like the Spanish one better though. And I remember for like a lot of years kind of holding that thought in my head. And I mean, we've done rec on this show before. We've talked about Quarantine on this show before. And I remember just always holding the belief that Quarantine, while it's not shot for shot, it's shot for plus. Because, like, you do definitely get 100% shot for shot scenes.
Right.
But then they give you 45 seconds of, like, internal explanation of why this got said or why this character is acting this way. And at the time, because I wasn't watching things as critically, I guess I just didn't get the why would you remake this just in English?
Right.
I didn't necessarily have the critical thinking movie brain that I do now. So, but yeah, I've definitely seen this. I didn't see it in theaters, but I've seen Quarantine umpteen times.
Right.
Just like I'm almost positive I have seen Rec maybe once a year to once every 2 years since I initially watched it in 2009.
Right. Yeah, Quarantine's always been in my rotation, and Rec is as well now that I know about it. So we will get to the review in just a moment, but before we do that, we got to do this. We got to talk about what did Jason Hill make me watch. This week, he made me watch a movie called Day of the Dead, and I know you're like, Day of the Dead? Wait a second, that's from like 1980-something. No! There is a fucking remake of Day of the Dead from 2008 that I had no fucking clue about. It is like a semi-sequel to Zack Snyder's 2004 Dawn of the Dead. IMDb description: when a small Colorado town is overrun by the flesh-hungry dead, a small group of survivors try to escape in a last-ditch effort to stay alive. I had a lot of hope when I saw that Steve Miner directed this. He did things like Friday 2 and 3, Halloween H2O, Lake Placid, House. But sadly, his name did not make this movie better, unfortunately. Same thing with like Mina Suvari. She couldn't even save this movie, and I love her. She's a great actress. But the intro to this is wild. There's like two couples in a barn or some shit. One couple's basically fucking, the other couple is dancing. It's very bizarre. Probably one of the worst openings for a zombie movie I have actually ever seen. There's so much going on. There's teens doing this stuff. There's a traffic stop with like the army. Then there's like a radio DJ talking. It is all over the place. Then Nick Cannon pops up as a main character, and all of the hope I had went out the goddamn window. I was like,
you mean 12 baby dad or
Yes.
12 baby mama Nick Cannon?
Yes, that Nick Cannon that really is not a good actor. The only thing I tolerate him in is Drumline.
I was about to say motherfucking Drumline. And he's not even acting. The drums are acting.
Right.
And he's just a hand piece for the drums.
Yeah. So And like, I'm a drummer, so I love Drumline, even though it's a little cheesy.
I don't even play instruments, and I love Drumline.
See? So,
it is a
you
fantastic fucking movie.
There you go. It works for people who don't even play instruments. I love it. Solid practical effects, also some truly terrible CG at the same time. A very weird mix of the two. It really just felt like a ripoff of The Fog, in the sense that there are people trapped at a radio station like the lady in The Fog, or even Pontypool, which really took the idea and made it way better because Pontypool is also about a virus spreading. This movie should not be associated with the Of the Dead franchise in any fucking way. Holy cow. Is this the worst zombie movie I've seen? I mean, I can't think of one I've rated this low. This might be the worst zombie movie I've seen. I think it might be. I'd have to double check.
I don't know. You spoke pretty lowly of that Panzer chocolate DVD that I gave you.
No, I still haven't watched that yet. I still need to. I'm actually going to watch that this week now because that has to be better than the atrocity my eyes witnessed of Day of the Dead. Oh my Lord, it was not great. And like I said, I was hoping for something with Steve Miner directing and Minu Suvari being in it, but sadly, not a good movie. If you'd like to check this out, because it was visually pleasing in a way. It was shot pretty well. The lighting was nice. It's on Prime, it's on Peacock, it's on Tubi, Pluto, and Plex, so go nuts. It has a rating of a 2.0 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Jason gave it a 1.5, and his review is, "You want tropes? We got tropes. All done badly, too. So watch and enjoy, you dumb motherfuckers." I gave it a 2 out of 5. I'm not going to recommend it, just because if it wasn't associated with, like, Day of the Dead, probably a lot better, but the fact that it's tied to that, like, franchise, it really was just a sin, just the utmost worst sin you could possibly perform about a zombie movie. It was just not good. So that again is Day of the Dead from 2008.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
You'll probably hate it.
I will agree with Jason on that one.
The one time that his catchphrase has ever been actually relevant.
Right, yeah. That's very, very few times has that been the case. So let's move on to the highest grossing movies and Oscar winners of the year. Taking the cake for 2008, The Dark Knight, no shock, bringing in over $1 billion. Highest grossing horror movie of the year, Saw 5, bringing in $113.9 million. This is the 81st Academy Awards presented on February 22nd, 2009, honoring movies released in 2008. Best Actor goes to Sean Penn for Milk. Actor in a Supporting Role goes to Heath Ledger for The Dark Knight. Clearly the standout that year. Best Actress to Kate Winslet for The Reader. Actress in a Supporting Role is Penelope Cruz for Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Never heard of that. Cinematography to Anthony Dodd Mantle for Slumdog Millionaire. Director, Danny Boyle, Slumdog Millionaire. Musical score, A.R. Rahman for Slumdog Millionaire. And if you couldn't guess it by now, the best picture of that year was Slumdog Millionaire. IMDb summary: when a teenager from the slums of Mumbai is interrogated about his suspicious performance on a quiz show, he revisits various events from his past to explain how he knew all the answers. Now, this is one that came out while I was working at the theaters. Never really watched it, and for the longest time, I thought it was a Shyamalan film. No idea why. Literally have no idea why I thought that, but it's not. It's Danny Boyle. He directed things like Trainspotting and 28 Days Later. He has a very interesting career when it comes to directing, and he directed the fuck out of this movie. So I really had no idea what it was about, other than the fact that it involved a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style show. I had no idea he was like tortured in the beginning of this movie for why did you know all these answers? Like, you couldn't possibly know these answers. You're from the slums. How are you so smart? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's a very beautifully told, but very bleak and kind of hopeless in a way when you're watching this, because his childhood is so fucking sad. How he grew up and like what happened to his parents, and then how it's basically just him and his brother going through like the shittiest of shit situations. And then on top of that, his brother Malik is kind of a fucking dick for no reason. I have no idea why. The entire movie, he's a dick. And then he has one redeeming quality when he saves his brother from a situation, but then ditches someone else they were with. They like hop on a train and he grabs his brother and then he goes to grab the girl that they're with and he's like, psych, and leaves her. I'm like, so, okay, you didn't even redeem yourself there. It's bleak, it's gritty, it's devastating, but it's somehow beautiful at the same time. I did not expect to like this as much as I did. I don't know. I saw Danny Boyle and I was like, sure, it'll probably be good. But damn, this movie was so fucking good. And also I had no idea that the lead actor was Dev Patel until the credits rolled. My review is I can't believe that was Dev Patel the whole time, and I never bothered to check, even though he looked so familiar. I saw Dev Patel, I'm like, oh, that's why. I would recognize him now, but this was like, 17 years ago. So
I think that this might have been one of the things that broke him into like the American audience.
It had to have, because dude, this movie, well deserving of the Best Picture, because god damn, it was just such an interesting story to see where he came from to where he is now. And then it's got a good ending too. And at its core, it really is a love story between Dev Patel's character and a girl named Latika at the core of the story, because he's trying to find her basically the entire rest of his childhood when they go to the flashbacks, because his brother just left her there. So it's really fucking good. Sadly, it's not streaming anywhere, but there are a couple of rips on YouTube that I found. I couldn't even rent this from Amazon. Like, it wasn't even available to purchase or rent, so I had to really get creative here. And if you search, Slumdog Millionaire full movie on YouTube, a couple will pop up. They didn't even have ads, the one that I watched, so. It has a 3.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. My rating is a 4.5 out of 5. I already said my review about Dev Patel. So, with that being said, let's go to the IMDb Roundup. Bam! This is Quarantine from 2008, released on October 10th of that year in the US. It is rated R for bloody, violent, and disturbing content, terror, and language. We've got mild sex and nudity, severe violence and gore, severe profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and severe, frightening, and intense scenes. Coming in at an hour and 29 minutes, listed as a horror sci-fi thriller, which is interesting. Directed by John Eric Dowdle, who also directed the Poughkeepsie Tapes and As Above, So Below. Man knows how to direct a found footage movie. Also written by the same guy who also wrote the other movies I just said. And it's written by Drew Dowdle, who I assume is his brother or family something. He wrote the same movies, the Poughkeepsie Tapes and As Above, So Below. No composer, because just like Paranormal Activity, this is found footage, so there really isn't necessarily a score. There might be loud banging effects and stuff like that, but there's no underlying score. Cinematography by Ken Sang, who also did the cinematography for Step Up 3D, Project X, and Deadpool. Edited by Elliot Greenberg, who also edited many more of John Dowdle's directed movies, but he also did Devil, Crawl, and Smile 1 and 2. So these people have moved on to do some incredible things. Starring Jennifer Carpenter as Angela Vidal, who's most known for her role as Deborah Morgan in Dexter, but she was also in a movie that we reviewed on the show, Exorcism of Emily Rose, as Emily Rose. We've got Steve Harris as Scott Percival, who was in 167 episodes of The Practice as Eugene Young. Jay Hernandez as Jake, who was also in Hostel as Paxton. I just made that connection when I was doing this write-up for it. I was like, holy shit, that is the same guy. Jonathan Shack as George Fletcher. He was also in the Prom Night remake as Richard Fenton. We've got Columbus Short as Danny Willenskye, who was also in Death at a Funeral as Jeff. Greg Germain as Lawrence, who was in Talladega Nights as Larry Dennett Jr., who had the wife that was loving it when the cars drove by. And then we have Dennis O'Hare as Randy, who was in 83 episodes of American Horror Story. Shout out to Doug Jones, because he plays the thin, infected man. Everyone should know him from all his various creatures that he's played. Estimated budget of $12 million, grossing $41.3 million, filmed in LA, California. You can watch this on Pluto, apparently. Fucking Letterboxd did me dirty, because I told you.
Although, I will say, don't.
Why? What happened?
There were like 12 ad breaks.
Oh my God.
With between 3 and 7 ads at a time.
I need to know what their what. How do they decide how many and how often? Like, I don't get it because it's fucking all over the place.
Bro, it's a fucking shotgun effect. They don't give a fuck. Because
so just buy the Blu-ray.
In that final sequence where they're going into the one apartment to get the keys get into the attic.
Yes.
That like 15, 20-minute sequence, 6 ad breaks.
Good Lord. All right, so just buy the fucking Blu-ray. Don't watch it on Pluto, apparently. Maybe that's why Letterboxd isn't advertising it. It's like, just don't bother. Movies that came out around the same time, we have Bangkok Dangerous, Burn After Reading, Righteous Kill, My Best Friend's Girl, Eagle Eye, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, Body of Lies, Max Payne, Sex Drive, High School Musical 3 Senior Year, Pride and Glory, Saw 5, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, Changeling, Rock and Rolla, Madagascar Escape to Africa, and Role Models. So much 2000s. IMDb summary, a television reporter and her cameraman are trapped inside a building quarantined by the CDC after the outbreak of a mysterious virus which turns humans into bloodthirsty killers. This is Quarantine.
Ready?
Okay.
Hi, I'm Angela Vidal. We're in Los Angeles, traveling along with the fire department. It's not so bad.
These are the men you'll be shadowing tonight. Wherever they go, you go too.
Police are here. It might be a little more serious than we thought.
A woman was screaming bloody murder back there.
Fire department's about to begin the rescue process. Police say that she lives alone. She's not very social.
Okay. We're gonna get you some medical help, okay?
Yeah, buddy, come on.
Tape everything. You hear me? Tape everything.
Sit down. We have an officer down. I need an ambulance immediately.
Do not try to leave the building. This will all be over shortly.
Why are they isolated?
I don't know more than you do right now, okay?
We were told that tenants inside need medical aid. Chief!
Everyone's been evacuated. Everyone's completely safe.
Why would he say that?
I can't get through to my husband and my daughter has a
We gotta get out of here.
We're filming this! People are gonna see what you're doing, guys!
We go out!
They're not gonna let us out of here alive, are they?
No matter what happens, just keep moving.
My daughter has a fever.
I think I know what this is.
We need to talk to her. Whose apartment is this? Oh my God.
You have no idea how bad this thing is.
The man who lives here.
Let me get out of here!
Go back!
I'm fixing it, come on!
So, Corey, overall thoughts. We're going to talk about these movies tangentially, but overall thoughts on Quarantine, and then we'll do Rec.
My overall thoughts on Quarantine is this is a very rare American remake of a foreign movie that kept enough of the original essence to make it honorable to the source material while still changing just enough to give it its own flair to stand on its own 2 legs. I also think that Jennifer Carpenter carried this entire fucking movie.
Her back must be sore. That's funny because that's almost exactly what I have written down because my overall thoughts are this is an incredible remake which hits the important beats of Rec while adding a bit more depth to the story, characters, and horrors within the apartment building that ultimately lead me to enjoy this one just a little bit more. Not by much, but just like, and we'll talk about it when we get to hot takes because like I've been flip-flopping for years at this point. But anyways, So, I mean, same thing goes for Wreck. My overall thoughts for Wreck are it's a great movie. I love the originality of it because obviously that one came first. It's just it's not long enough. That's like a complaint I never have with movies. I love short movies. It's too fast for me. It is happening too quickly. 15 minutes into the movie, the apartment building is already shut down. Like it is too quick. It is so fucking fast. If you're not paying, like it, and that's anybody who listens to this show knows. I like that movie's 77 minutes. I think I love that. Chopping Mall is 77 minutes. I love it. It's too short. They needed 10 more minutes. That's why I think Quarantine is slightly better because it gives you just a little bit more breathing room to kind of keep up with the story. Like, you got to be locked into Wreck and paying attention. If you look down for a second or go grab a soda, something else entirely different is happening on screen. So it's not really a criticism, I don't think. It's just, it's such a fast-paced movie that you got to be in the mood to keep up. So what about you for Wreck?
So for Wreck, for me, I mean, we've been doing this show long enough that pretty much anybody listening knows that by default, I'm going to pick the original, even if it is, by all accounts, not better. Mm-hmm. I'm always going to say, no, it was the original. It was their idea first, so they get the majority of the credit. I do agree with you that Wreck it's on fucking rocket skates. It flies by so quick. And as much as I love what Paco Plaza has done, they do kind of yada yada through some parts that would give a little bit more significance to what's going on, right? Which is what kind of elevates Quarantine, is while they don't give you like, it's not like they're giving you more info on what's going on, but Quarantine gives you, I don't know, they humanize everyone a little bit more. They like show the dynamic of the characters a little bit more in Quarantine, a little bit more on screen. Right. So you kind of get a better understanding of who Angela is, of who Fletcher is. Like, we know Fletcher's the asshole because of what he was saying on the hot mic and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Whereas in Wreck, you're just kind of left to be like, all right, Alex and Manu are just kind of these, I mean, they're cool dudes. They're nice enough, but that's about all we got. Right. Like, we don't get, why is Manu cool and he's the one that survives at the end? Right. No fucking idea. Why is Jake the one that survives? Oh, well, because he's the one that wasn't talking shit when Angela wasn't on camera and yada yada. So there's just a little bit more like syntax going on with Quarantine. But at the same time, like, we wouldn't have gotten that without Wreck the year before. Right. So you really kind of, you can't have one without the other. And unless it's Quarantine. Like, you could totally have Wreck without Quarantine because it came first, obviously. Yeah. But they're a very simpatico like set of movies. I almost would say that if you're gonna watch one, you have to watch the other. It's not like watching Romero's Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead and then watching the 2003 remake or whatever. Like, you don't have to watch both of those two to like fully appreciate the gravity of the franchise. Oh,
because they're so wildly different too.
Yeah,
they're so wildly different.
I feel like watching either of these movies now in the year of our Lord 2025, watching one without the other almost does the other one disservice, because you get a lot of appreciation and context out of Wreck from watching Quarantine and vice versa.
No, I agree with that totally. That's what I love, and that's what I love about Rec. It just felt so original and fresh when you go watch it. If you've never seen either and you go watch Rec, you're like, wow, this is a very fresh, just horror movie. It's very contained, it's very isolated. And then you go watch Quarantine and you're like, okay, it's essentially the same movie, but they do flesh it out just a little bit more. And there's just a little more like subtext. There's a little more things that the movie gives you, especially when you were talking about the character interactions of the building. I got the vibe that those people had lived there for years and years together. Like they just had the camaraderie of neighbors, as where I don't really get that in Rec. They just kind of seem like people. They don't really seem like they lived in the building.
Rec does feel like they went to the call sheet and said, all these extras worked really fucking hard on that last movie. Let's make all these extras main characters.
They didn't really have a lot of substance to them. And that's what I love about Quarantine. You've got Dennis O'Hare, who plays the drunk guy who's got like an attitude about the whole thing. His character felt so fucking real, because back when I used to drink, that would have been me 100%. Like, I'm not fucking going downstairs. Like, I'm gonna go back upstairs and drink. If this thing is contagious, then we should probably not all be together. That would be me 100%. And just the characters in there feel so much more real. Even the landlord, I can't remember his name, he felt like a landlord. He's disheveled. He looks tired because he's probably doing all this shit for the apartment building. So it just feels a little bit more real. It just to me at least. But talking about, opening scene, there's not an opening scene. There's no cold open, much like Paranormal Activity. It just starts. And both movies start the exact same way, almost to a T. But Quarantine adds something that I feel was so small, but it was so impactful, because in Rec, you hear sirens go by, but it's not from the fire station or any fire trucks leaving. Angela in Quarantine is standing across the street from the fire station, and they get a call, and you see the fire trucks go out. And that is so important to me, because if they had just finished a little bit sooner, they would have been on that fire truck and wouldn't have gone to the building. And I think that little addition it does so much by doing so little, if that makes any sense.
It's that syntax that I was saying. It's just these micro things. Like it's not plot points, right? It's not dialogue. It's just like peppering of just like that little bit of extra detail.
Yeah, that little extra. Like, man, imagine it. If only they were done sooner and got on that, they wouldn't all be fucking dead at this point.
We wouldn't have gotten the movie.
Right, we wouldn't have gotten the movie. So both movies do a great job at conveying realism. They, both movies clearly filmed at a real fire station somewhere. Jake and Fletcher, I know, are actors because they've been in other things, but they play such convincing firefighters and they have such chemistry. And you get that chemistry because they spend a little more time at the fire station in Quarantine. There's a lot more comedy at the beginning of Quarantine, which I think is important because it gives you this false sense of security at the beginning of Quarantine. You're like, oh, this is fine. Everyone's having fun. This is just an average night on the job. And then the tone shifts so hard once they're locked in, or once you go see Miss Espinosa. That fucking, lighthearted comedy, it's over. This is real shit. So that tonal shift is fucking everything to me. As where Rec, yeah, they're like, Angela's having a fun time and stuff like that, but they're at the fire station for such a short amount of time. You don't have any time to engage with the characters before they're thrown onto the fire truck. It's like 12 minutes into the movie and they're already on the truck. It's just so fucking fast. And then they added some, Quarantine added some scenes. They added the Dalmatian scene, Angela trying the fire pole, the scene where their guy's showering and they go in there. That was hilarious. And then the race to put on the turnouts. And Rex, she just kind of puts them on and walks around and is like, I'm a firefighter, whatever. And then they, both movies obviously respond to a call about a lady screaming bloody murder. And this is where more of the similarities happen with the movies. But that scene, so that's kind of like the opening. I'd say the movie really kicks off when you see Miss Espinosa down that hallway she has. Oh my God, stuff of nightmares, because there's all this shit on the wall, but the camera's behind all the firefighters and policemen just looking down at Miss Espinosa, who's like bleeding and just looks crazy and attacks that cop. I mean, that is such a visceral moment that if you thought you were having fun with this movie, that's about to take a turn right now. I don't know how both the scenes kind of play out the same way. Quarantine's is a little bit longer, but I say they're both equally as graphic because you get a really good like skin stretch when she bites the cop on the neck. So.
Oh yeah, they do feel very, very similar. The one thing that Rec has going for it in that scene specifically is a lower production budget. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more creepy and gritty because the screen's a little bit more muddy. It's harder to see things, and you get the sense of uneasiness that comes from not knowing what the fuck is going on. Yeah. And Quarantine, to its benefit, has an infinitely higher production value. Yeah. Infinitely better cameras. So that scene works because there's so much detail coming at you. Right. You like the hallway's a little bit more creepy because it's not just an open hallway with an end table now. Like there's shit on the walls. Oh my God, so much stuff. But in Rec, it's like the end table and like a picture on the wall, and they have to cast it just right because all you're getting is flashlight light and the light coming in from behind her. Right. And the rest is just film grain. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to watch the two happen because for all intents and purposes, except for maybe like an extra 5 seconds, it is shot for shot the exact fucking same.
Yeah, even when they bust in the door because they can't get in, the firefighters bust in the door. In both movies, Angela visibly jumps and then turns around, and then you see Miss Espinosa down the hall. So I mentioned the pacing. It's a little bit quicker. 16 minutes 37 seconds for Rec when the paramedics announce that they're locking down the building. 20 minutes 57 for Quarantine. And I know that's not much more time. It really isn't. It's only about 4 or 5 minutes. But again, for some reason, that is... and even Quarantine, till the building gets locked down, it's still pretty quick too. But there's just enough more for me to latch onto to kind of get personal with the characters. There is a difference too in one of the characters, Quarantine, which I think was a smart decision because Quarantine, there's a character that's a veterinarian, and in Rec, it's just he's like an intern. I think the veterinarian was the better choice because I don't think a doctor would recognize rabies, and I could be wrong because I'm not a fucking doctor, but I don't think especially an intern is going to be able to be like, that's rabies. But the fact that he was a vet in Quarantine, he knows what to look for in animals. And he's like, well, this is really weird because these are the symptoms of rabies, but it's happening at like the most rapid pace it could ever happen at. So it's just that small little change for me that makes it a little bit more believable. And, that going back to Miss Espinosa real quick, the one thing I really like that Rec did that Quarantine didn't do is when Angela asks to see the footage, they roll the footage back in Rec and then it cuts to black. And I was like, that was a nice little touch since this is like that was such a nice little touch. So I really enjoyed that. But beyond this stuff here, that stuff I mentioned, it's basically the same after that. But again, Quarantine just adds a little more, not even fluff, just a little more, I don't know, pizzazz. Like, what do we call this?
No, so it's, and I think Jessica said it best because we watched these literally back to back with a break in the middle because I had to do some things around the house for a home inspection. But Quarantine it humanizes everyone.
There we go.
Just a little bit more. And I'm going to point to one of the very first things in the movie when Scott is messing with Angela's hair to get it like behind her ear and out of the shot. Then she turns to have a slightly different shot of her face. it's those little micro moments where they just kind of humanize the characters a little bit more, so you care just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, Pablo was a tripod.
Yeah.
Pablo was a tripod that screamed.
You don't even
Scott
you don't even
had
see him.
thoughts, opinions,
Yeah.
a family most likely.
Well, yeah, because you don't even see Pablo at all, but you see the cameraman, Scott, you see him multiple times in Quarantine. I totally forgot about that. That's something Quarantine also did when he comes around to fix her hair. There's also a scene where he drops the camera and it's facing right on him. And then when he's cleaning the blood off the lens after he beats that woman to death with the camera. So you actually, that's another thing. You care a little bit more, even for the cameraman, because they humanize him and you actually get to see who he is. That's a really good point. So a couple other things after Miss Espinosa, like I said, it's basically the same movie. Some other additions that Quarantine did have, which I really liked. Angela and Jake go around knocking on apartment doors. They don't do that in Rec. They find that very sick lady, and that's how the veterinarian comes to the conclusion, because he's got two people with the same exact symptoms of rabies. Then they have the rat that charges the cameraman, which comes to fruition at the end when they're in the penthouse, because the ending is a little, what the virus is different in both movies, and I prefer Quarantines. And then both movies have the firefighter falling, but what Quarantine adds is the scene where Fletcher opens the roll-up door and walks out with his fucked up ankle. God damn, that gets me every fucking time. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and it would be one thing if they just showed it, but then they get that
extra zoom.
and the noises. It's the noises for me.
One other thing that I noticed that I liked about Quarantine, because this is one of my favorite scenes, is it's before they cut the power and Angela goes up with that tenant to their apartment because he's like, I'm going to see what's on the news. And they're like, we don't have, there's no phones are down, everything. He's like, I've got rabbit ears. Let's go check it out. And they find the report that's happening outside the building. And one of the guys is like, yeah, everyone's been evacuated. Everything's good. And they're like, wait, why would they say we're evacuated? Then the power cuts and then they get attacked by one of those bloodthirsty fucking zombies, as I'm just going to refer to them as. And then Scott beats it to death with the camera. That is by far my favorite addition Quarantine did over Rec, because that scene is fucking horrifying. And then you get Scott cleaning the blood off the lens, and what I believe is that person scooting up the stairs behind them. You see someone run up the stairs behind them, and that whole scene for me is fucking incredible. I love that scene. Both movies have the BNC, which is the biological nuclear chemical mentioned once they lock it down. And it's weird because in Rec, it's like some health inspector that comes in or something. But in Quarantine, it's the CDC.
I feel like Rec does suffer ever so slightly from being lost in translation.
That's true.
Because there are just micro things like intern versus vet. I'm almost positive that like an intern in the medical field would be much more akin to like a physician's assistant.
Right.
Or like a nurse rather than some fucking college radio intern.
Yeah, intern is very vague.
It's
so vague.
There are just a couple things like a health inspector versus agent of the CDC. I think there are just a couple things that just don't 100% translate into subtitles. But one of the things that I really appreciate is in Rec, and I'm going to say this real tentatively because no one really does their jobs well in either of these movies. But in Rec, Angela and Pablo are a little bit more professional in what they're doing versus the police and fire that are on scene. And in Quarantine, Angela and Scott are a little less professional.
Yeah.
And then you get characters like Walensky who are actually doing their job properly, and Jake doing their job properly. So it's kind of a nice flip-flop to get the professionals on either side of the situation and having the opposite party be the less competent ones that are going on. Like, there, for the first little bit of the movie in Rec, I'm like, has Angela done shit like this before? Like, she's way too collected for what's going on. Even after Alex falls from the ceiling, she's still not like freaking out just yet. Whereas even before Fletcher falls from the ceiling in Quarantine, you can already tell that Angela's like already kind of cracking, just because she's like, we're fucking stuck in here. I already don't like this.
Yeah.
So her constitution of the situation is like 10 clicks lower than Angela from Rec. And I think it's a fun, like, okay, we're going to keep the shots the same, but we're going to change the context ever so slightly.
Yeah, because the one cop, I guess you said his name was Walensky. Is that that's the black cop?
Yeah,
right?
the black cop, Walensky. Yeah,
he was like he really gave off. I have worked in law enforcement before, because, like, I don't know. It's just, as a cop in that situation, you have to try to maintain the peace. So he's in there trying to remain calm himself while everything is going to shit, and also trying to keep everybody else calm. The moment when he pulls his gun out and is like, go downstairs, felt so real, because he's like, dude, I don't know. I don't have a handbook for this, and you guys aren't listening to me. I don't know what else to do. And then he breaks down. He has a moment where he sits back and is just like, please just go downstairs, and like apologizes. So you even get like, they even humanize the fucking cops in this one as well. So it's Quarantine. I don't know. It gets a lot of hate. A lot of the reviews I have are shitting all over this movie. And I get it. I totally get it. It's almost a carbon copy of this movie. It feels, people feel like it's a cheap remake, but it's
an expensive remake.
Yeah.
They threw so much money at this movie.
For a found footage movie that takes place in one location, $12 million is massive, dude. That is huge. So let's talk about the ending real quick, because they are slightly different. They both involve a tall, thin, infected man. They both involve some sort of...
Well, no. So Rec is a woman.
Whatever. They both involve some tall, thin, infected person. Whatever. There's a weird, very, very pale, mysterious looking person up there, and then there's some form of a kid or something in the attic that swats both the cameras. So in Rec, they see, and it's the same thing, newspaper clippings, there's a fucking thing that they try to play. You actually get a voice recording in Rec, whereas Quarantines is very jarbled and you can't hear anything. But in Rec, the tape recording reveals that the penthouse owner was an agent of the Vatican, tasked to isolate an enzyme by a demonically possessed girl, Tristana Medeiros. And while attempting to treat this girl, the enzyme mutated, became an infectious instead. The strain acts like the flu and has deadly consequences. The person was trying to work on a vaccine. The Vatican agent then sealed up the penthouse and left Tristana to die. I like this, but I don't like the involvement of like religion, exorcism. Like that for me just doesn't work. I don't like that at all.
I'm gonna give Paco the benefit of the doubt and go out on a limb and say that he was trying really hard to not make a zombie movie.
Right.
I feel like he had this entire premise in his head and went, okay, but why? And he was like, zombie infection makes too much sense. Like that's already overplayed by 2007. They've been doing that for fucking decades. What can it be? So if we take the hooky, spooky, mysterious Vatican, and then imply that you can not only isolate what causes a possession, but then change it into something that can be contracted like a sickness. Now it's not zombies. Now it's a whole different thing that nobody's done before. Right. Who's ever heard of Achoo, now you're possessed? Like, nobody. Right. That's a whole other thing. And if you look at it from like a possession standpoint, you're like, okay, that's really interesting. But again, they suffer from the yada yada effect of sometimes a lot of found footage. Like, you're lower on budget, you're low on crew, you don't have a lot of time to make shit happen, and you don't have a lot of money to make shit happen. So here's the explanation you're getting. It's good enough. Eat your dinner.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas in Quarantine, they give you that setup much earlier, and then they don't have to explain it away. Because now it's presented so much earlier, you have a much longer time in the movie, which isn't that long to begin with,
right?
To cope with what's going on. I do like the fact that they change up. So in Rec, the tall, skinny thing is implied to be Tristana, who got left there. And because the enzyme mutated, it made her immortal, and she's fucking stuck in there as this fucking creature. Whereas in Quarantine, I'm pretty sure that it's heavily implied that the tall, skinny creature is the man that was working on the super rabies. And because the rats got out in his apartment, and they probably transferred it to him instead of it being transferred via the dog getting into the penthouse and getting fucked around with by the lady.
See, because I did some digging, and the vibe I got from Rec is that Tristana is the thing in the attic that swats the camera, because there was a person from the Vatican in the penthouse working on a cure, which I think is that tall infected thing, and Tristana was the younger looking person up in the attic, because those are not the same people. The thing that swats at the camera is not the same thing that we see as the tall infected humanoid. So that's at least what I got. I don't know. It's not really clearly stated, so it could,
not in either movie.
Right. But in Quarantine, it's a little bit easier to put together the pieces, because Angela and Scott, they come across newspaper clippings where it's revealed that a member of a cult, the man from Boston who rents the apartment, the landlord says there's a guy from Boston, he rents the penthouse. So there you go. There's who it is. It's revealed to have been cultivating an experiment with this Armageddon virus, which is highly contagious, fast-acting, and fatal strain of rabies engineered by a doomsday cult. So you have the rats in there, which again correlates to something I said earlier when the rat comes at Scott. So it can be assumed that one of his rats got out, the rat bit the dog went to the animal shelter, and that's how this whole thing started. So it's a little bit more believable and cohesive for me than, all of a sudden it's demonic possession. I love that. I love the idea of that, but it just didn't really fit. And that's why I like Rec 2 a little bit more than the first one, because they go into that so much more, and it is such a cool plot line. So the ending works a little bit better in Rec. And of course, you have the same pulling away shot, which they put that in the trailer. And it's like, why are we putting the ending shot to a movie in the trailer? Fuck, the poster for the movie is her getting like pulled back.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever. So, those are the differences. I feel like we had to talk about Rec just like you said, if you're going to watch Quarantine, you got to watch Rec. If we're talking about Quarantine, we got to talk about Rec. So I think we hit everything. If we want to finish the format and then do the reviews, unless there's anything else you wanted to mention before, like hot takes and shit.
No, I mean, this is one of those movies / coupling of movies that without really any kind of nudging that you and I could talk about for hours.
Yeah.
just because it hits so many of the things that we love in movies, and it's both of them are just ambiguous enough to leave room for that lovely speculation that we have become infamous for on this podcast.
Yeah, and that's what I love about both of them. They're not fully explained. There's enough there that you can make the connections, but that's exactly what I like. So, hot take for me, I've been flip-flopping with this for years at this point. Originally, I like Quarantine more than Wreck. And then when we did Wreck on the podcast, like back in episode 90-something, I was like, you know what? This is the stronger film. But then watching them this time, I was like, you know what? No, I like Quarantine a little bit better because of everything that we've said. So that's my hot take. I also like Wreck 2 over Wreck 1 because it's them going into the building after everything's happening, and it's so fucking wild. If you haven't seen Wreck 2, go watch it. It is so fucking awesome. And they expand upon that religious demonic possession, and it gives the second movie a completely different tone than the first movie, because you think it's this rabies thing or whatever, and now it's like demonic possession, and it's so fucking cool. So technically, I guess the things in Wreck are demons, I guess. I don't know. Any hot takes here?
No, not really. My take is these are movies that you cannot have one without the other, and obviously can't have Quarantine without Wreck because Wreck came out first.
Correct.
But this is a pairing of movies to the umpteenth degree. I feel like you do yourself a disservice by this is a double feature always. Like if you are watching Wreck today, by law, you have to watch Quarantine too.
No, that's a hot take. I'm taking that as a hot take. I love it. Horror moment for me is what I've already said before. That's an added scene in Quarantine when Angela and Scott go up to that apartment, and then Scott, the power cuts out, and then the infected walks into the camera light, and then Scott beats it to death. I love that horror moment. What about you? Horror moment?
I mean, it's gotta be. So even though I cackle laugh at both in both movies, the little girl biting her mother, jumping out of her arms, and then just running and screaming at everybody before hightailing it up the stairs, like. There's a certain level when it comes to child actors of, all right, you are old enough to make this creepy.
Yeah.
And you are young enough to make this creepy. Like, creepy babies are fucking creepy.
100%.
But there's like this weird gap, and it's like ages 4 to 7. Where no matter what, you're not fucking scary because I can put the full weight of my body behind my foot and this situation is over.
Yeah, just launch you into fucking space. Goodbye.
Like if it's a creepy demon baby, that's a baby. I'm going to have some moral quandaries
right
about this. If it's like a creepy young teenager to like 17-year-old, all right, you're almost an adult. You could be kind of a threat. but a rabies-ridden 6-year-old?
Bye.
Nah, dog.
Bye.
You're not faster than me. You're not stronger than me, and you're definitely not smarter than me. I win in this situation 100% of the time. But they play it so heavily in both movies that I'm just like, yeah, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then it would be followed very, very closely, like a razor's edge of the falling from the top floor. And because in both movies it's just so fast and visceral, And if you've never seen the movie before, and even after us talking about it, because we haven't explained when it happens,
right?
It's gonna take you off guard.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what it's meant to do. And it's in both movies, it's done perfectly.
Yeah, it's one hell of a scene, and it gets me every time. It's like I know when it's coming, and you can hear a faint scream right before it happens. It's like but then it's like smack, like it's a big noise that happens. So, favorite kill for me is Miss Espinosa, and I'll tell you why. Because she gets plugged a few times by the cops, and you're like, cool, she's dead. But then she comes back when Jake and Angela and Scott are running out of the apartment with the keys. She pops up like this jump scare out of a fucking cheap horror movie, and then Jake just beats her to death with the sledgehammer. So she dies twice in this movie. Favorite kill, hands down. What about you?
So my favorite kill is my favorite kill in both movies. When they get out of the textile shop, and the two people are running, and they attack the little girl's mother.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Angela goes on to, they're fucking eating her. What's going on? And like, yeah, shit has been going wrong for like 20 minutes
long.
up to this point. But for some reason, it's that kill that kind of solidifies like, oh, we're genuinely fucked.
Yeah.
Because like it's defenseless with defense doesn't matter. They're coming after you, and they're gonna start tearing into you.
Favorite character for me, probably because he stays around so long, is Jake, because he starts rocking shit towards the end of the movie with that sledgehammer. Good Christ. Love Jake. He is great. Favorite character for you?
My favorite character is probably the vet, just because
I like him,
he is such a deus ex machina for what's going on. Like you can very much tell that after like probably second infected, you can already see his face working out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, this looks exactly like rabies, except we've never seen it like this before. Also, I've never dealt with rabies in a human because I'm a vet.
Exactly. So we're like really fucked here. Favorite line is very early on in the movie for me. It's just something that it gives me a good yuck. It's Fletcher when he says, because Angela's like, trying not to swear. And he's like, so if I were to call this guy an ass monkey, that would be considered a swear, right? I don't know. It's such a stupid line, but it always makes me crack up. Did you have a favorite line?
No, not really, because this is not a super quotable movie.
No, that one, just like I said, it's just stupid. It's a stupid throwaway line that I enjoy. I think we have covered both these movies pretty well here. If, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate what Cory said. If you're watching one, watch the other. It's just, you are doing a disservice to yourself if you don't at least watch both of them to compare, to contrast, etc., etc. Moving on to post-review stuff here. We've got taglines. Two of them. One is entirely too long. On March 11th, 2008, the government sealed off an apartment complex in Los Angeles. The residents were never seen again. No details, no witnesses, no evidence. Until now. Fucking terrible tagline. But the better one of the two is contain the truth. Love that. Trivia. The apartment complex was a set, but a fully functioning one with 4 total floors. Atypical for a Hollywood production, but this film does not feature a musical score. That's because it's found footage. Both Jaime Balaguero and Paco Plaza, directors of the original movie, have expressed their dissatisfaction with this movie. This was actually shot in chronological order, which really never happens with movies at all. And it took 4 hours for Doug Jones to get into his full-body prosthetic. His role required him just for 1 day. There was one goof I found funny, and it says, Lawrence, the vet, says there's only one way to test for rabies, and that's a brain sample. A blood test will not work. A brain sample is the most reliable way to diagnose rabies, but it can also be diagnosed through saliva, urine, and cerebrospinal fluid samples. So I just thought that was funny. I fucking love petty goofs like that. Rated 6.0 out of 10 on IMDb. 2.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd, has a 55% on the tomato meter and a 44% audience score. What did you give this, Corey?
I gave this a 4.
Oh, shit. Okay, I gave this a 4 as well, so that would be a Frightmare certified. Slap. Wreck for me is a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said.
I rated Wreck a 4 also.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they are very, very equally matched, and I feel like I would almost be a hypocrite to not have the same rating and say that you have to watch these movies together, because they are one and the same. They are a package deal.
Interesting.
So. Back when we originally did Rec, I would have 100% that Rec is the superior film in all ways, because it's the original, it's the founding idea. But rewatching it this time with a more critical eye, I'm like, Quarantine really does deserve some respect for the remake that it did.
Right.
Because they said, hey, let's take this really cool but pretty inexpensive idea and let's throw some fucking money behind it and see what we get.
Yeah, you ultimately get better production quality, better lighting. I like the grittiness of Rec, but if it's for a news station, as it's both presented, it should be a little higher quality camera. If we're being honest here, it shouldn't look like it was. It shouldn't look like it was filmed on a fucking high 8. So that's that. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, we have Rec, of course, Dawn of the Dead, Rec 2, 28 Days Later, and 28 Weeks Later. Similar movies according to IMDb, we have Quarantine 2, The Terminal, terrible movie, don't watch it. Rec 2, Grave Encounters, and As Above, So Below. Let's do some funny reviews. I have 5.
I have 4.
Perfect. 1.5 star from Jay, and this was logged on March 11th, 2020, so keep that in mind. The film kind of hits harder now, because that was when COVID was in full swing.
A 0.5 star review from Juna Jew, watched May 27th, 2025.
Ooh.
Me, Mom, can we buy Rec? Mom, we have Rec at home. Rec at home.
Oh. 2.5 stars from Ava Adore. It's so silly to imagine a world now where CDC is met with, what does that stand for?
A 0.5 star review from Swindex, who is also a patron. I think I would have survived.
Okay, let's put you in that situation. 2.5 stars from Dom, me clutching my beloved DVD of Rec 2007. How dare you stand where she stood? Oh, I guess I only have 4. Okay, never mind. All right, cool.
A 5 star and a heart from Trin. Scott, put that camera down now.
3 stars from Becca. Not me showing my sister this movie for the first time. And the first thing she says, it's Tina the Talking Tummy. And I literally died of laughter. If you've ever seen White Chicks, that will be for you, because Jennifer Carpenter's in that. And I shouldn't have to explain this so much, but here we are. I'm glad I ended on that review. Anyways, if you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher app, Blue Sky Threads, and YouTube at Frightmares Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can check me out at Dr. Proctor. You are
Frightmare's Cory.
Booyah. Be sure to follow our sister podcast, The Shameless Picture Show, and also check out the Dead-Eyed Millennial podcast as well. 2 shows I edit. Next episode, which when this releases will be like 2 days away, supposed to have a director on. We're in contact via email, but I'm just nervous that we're not going to record it in time. So I'm not going to say yes that I have a director, but if I have to drop the show late, I'll drop the show late because I really want to talk to this guy. But until then, stay tuned and... Spooky.